We wanted to do a big intro for our interview with our good VeVe friend Stevo. I thought it was amazing. I think it was a different type of interview because previously we mostly talked to whales and influencers. But for Stevo, he's just a regular collector with a very nice collection, obviously. And he's also one of the most passionate VeVe collectors I've ever talked to. He's very sharp. And what really caught my attention is he genuinely cares about the success of the app. And he also came to the conversation prepared with lots of notes and ideas for engagement and how he landed a secret rare Spider-Man on a drop. He sold it too early, but he flipped his way back. That was a crazy journey. What do you think about that interview with Stevo?
It just shed light on how you don't have to be a whale to make really smart moves in the market. He's very calculated. He uses data points from a variety of sources. He's very crafty in how he makes charts and graphs and uses a spreadsheet to break things down into numbers, percentages.
Yes. Yep.
To make the best informed decisions at any given point in time. And more often than not, I'd say that a lot of us will blindly go into the market and say, this is a great deal, click, buy, and some of us may end up bag holding, right? Mm-hmm. Because of an impulse buy. But this guy, Stevo, he's made from a different cloth. He knows what he's talking about, and he's an asset to whoever is in his circle.
Right. I am sure everybody will have a great time and will learn a lot of experience and insights from Stevo. We're super excited. Let's get to it. Welcome back to another episode of the VeVe Vantage podcast, everybody. Today, beside me and my co-host, Mr. V, we have our good friend and very experienced VeVe collector, Stevo. Stevo, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks a lot, man. Always watch your podcast. Very happy to be on.
This is an honor for us to have a longtime VeVe friend like you to hop on and just talk about different things. Mr. V, why don't we get started with you?
All right, good deal. All right, Stevo. So one of the things I would like to know is what adjustments have you made in your personal life to accommodate to accommodate to your new hobby in VeVe? Right. So like what sacrifices or hobbies or habits have you kind of left behind or cut back on to be able to spend more time and focus on VeVe, whether that be being more involved on the app or being more engaged with our community with the VeVe army, perhaps, anything along those lines.
Right. So I usually play like poker and daily fantasy sports a lot, like in my spare time. And I was a lot more before I ever found NFTs. So I used to play online poker on global poker all the time. I'd be making like DraftKings teams, like NBA DraftKings, NFL DraftKings, like making lineups every week. NBA is like a nightly thing. You have to like literally dedicate hours every single night to play it. Even after the slate locks, you have to, make adjustments when, players get ruled out, this and that. So ever since I got into VeVe, I found myself doing a lot less of it. And I'm sure it's happened to a lot of people. Everyone just kind of just making like random adjustments. But especially when the market was booming, it's very fun. Like when you're on VeVe and things are hot, it's fun to just, make some flips, keep an eye on prices. You literally have to watch prices nonstop because momentum is just changing from piece to piece. You can go on Twitter, you're seeing where the hype is starting to move to, and momentum starts on, goes from one piece to another. So now all of a sudden I'm like barely playing any DFS, and the game has gotten a lot harder also. So I don't even feel bad missing it as much. Poker, I still play when I can. I don't play cash games as much as I usually was doing before. So I've been playing tournaments here and there. Like on my days off, I'll go to the Hard Rock, play tournaments, this and that. So it's probably two of like the big main things that I found myself doing a lot less of.
So we've been in a bear market for over a year now, like a year and a half now. So our strategy during January 2022 was something else, right? How have you changed your strategy to adapt with the bear market? And let me give you one example. Back when we had that crazy bull run, like I was stressed out all day long because of FOMO, because of like seeing the price going crazy and don't know whether I should sell or should I hold on to a little bit longer, or whether I should, use my credit card to buy something because of the expectation is it's going to go up, right? So that was a very stressful time for me. I didn't really have a strategy, and I think most of us didn't really know how to deal with it. But then for me personally, over a year now during this bear market, that kind of allowed me to reflect and look at my mistakes and my lessons. And now I have some targets. Like I and Mr. V both have our strategies, our pieces that we are trying to acquire, trying to stack. I've been DCing OMI every week for over a year now. I spend like $100 on OMI every week, and I sleep well at night because I'm DCing instead of, buying in bulk at bad timing like I did in the past. So what have you done to adjust your strategy in this bear market?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So my strategy has changed probably several times, to be honest, because so early last year when we were having the bull run like really kind of going off in January, February. So once it started to cool off, I still was kind of like buying here and there on the way down, because up until that point, every single time we had some sort of a dip, it always seemed to get bought back up. And because we've already had like probably like 3 or 4 times in like the second half of 2021 where things were kind of like dropping really fast, really hard. And if you remember that like Future Tech Live nonsense where we were supposed to have Comic-Con and they were supposed to be there, and then they did that whole like weird thing with Future Tech Live. There was a lot of FUD at the time. Prices started dropping.
Was that the VeVe 2021 that did not come out? Like there was a demo, but nothing came out of it.
Yeah, it was like that half-ass thing that you had to use on your computer. Yeah, and it would like bog down your computer and slow down, and it was just like this dumb thing. And everyone was like so excited because they're like, oh, once we go to Comic-Con, we're gonna get X amount of users, and everyone was hyped up. And it reminded me of NBA Top Shot, because everyone was just like, oh, when Top Shot has the All-Star game, prices are going to go nuts. And that, for whatever reason, that was just something people were saying. That was just like a weird thing, where the same thing's happening with VeVe. Everyone assumed that Future Tech Live and Comic-Con were going to gain all these people. So we had like one of our biggest dips right then, and then it got bought back up maybe like 2-3 weeks later. And it was pretty crazy because like it was really quick, really fast. Prices started just immediately starting to shoot up. It happened again before Disney Golden Moments, and it was kind of obvious. A lot of us we kind of knew ahead of time that was going to happen, because the hype from Disney was just going nuts. Everyone was so excited Disney was coming, and me and a lot of people in the VeVe Army chat, we started selling off stuff left and right because we wanted to get gems ready for Disney Golden Moments. So there's a big dip then, right after the partner statue drops, which was on, I think, Friday. And then if you remember, after those Disney Golden Moments dropped, that was when the first Dcon drop happened. So then like Saturday and Sunday was all this Dcon drops. And it was like a flick of a switch. The second that final Dcon drop happened on Sunday at like 5 or 6 o'clock or something, the market just started going nuts. Golden Moments were flying up. The partner statues were starting to fly up. Everything was starting to fly real fast. And that was just another example of just like, we have a huge dip and it made sense, and then people would buy it up. It happened again in December in 2021. We kind of had like a dip going like into Christmas. And I remember I was in like a different chat because I'm in a couple of different chats, and I used to hang out in this other chat quite a bit with some OG people. And I kept telling people, hey, I can just feel it. I feel like we're going to have a big run right after Christmas. It was just like in my gut, I just saw the momentum on Twitter, and just something just felt weird. You can just tell it was about to blow up. And it took like another 3 weeks. And then January, that's when things just started going nuts. So when things started cooling off in like February, when things started to like kind of come down and the blow off top was over, I kind of foolishly assumed that the dip was just gonna get bought back up. And I think that was kind of my fault for like, because I also got caught up in the euphoria. A lot of us did.
This is probably like late January, right? February, or is it later than that?
I think because like late January, early February, that's right when things kind of cooled off, and like the highs just started coming back down, because that like it just kind of peaked like I think in that third week of January, and then like slowly things came down a little bit, but it was still fine. Like everyone's still up a shit ton in February, and the prices just kind of kept slowly like falling down, and I was assuming prices would kind of get bought back up. So I was still kind of flipping in and out of stuff. So I was selling other things. I was still kind of buying some golden moments. I remember I foolishly bought like an Elsa for $2,000 because it was like a 2XX mint. I still have it, but I remember at the time I'm like, oh, I just found a hell of a deal, $2,000 for an Elsa 3-digit. And I thought I was so smart at the time. I'm just like buying Elsa. So this kind of happened to a lot of us where we just got caught up a little too much in the hype, and prices just kind of kept falling. So when that started happening, I started to cool off a little bit and relax on how much I was buying, because I was like, well, when is this going to stop? I'm not sure how much longer prices are going to come down. And I was kind of just waiting and waiting for like the dip to get bought back up. And it just wasn't really happening. So I didn't really do much. Like I would still just like buy drops, but I really relaxed on flipping and buying some stuff, because you just kind of just saw like prices kind of kept going down. FUD started kind of going up because at the time people were not having cash out yet. And that was because cash out FUD was getting like really, really loud, like before it finally came last summer. So people were just constantly just going nuts over cash out FUD. And then there's like just complaining about other things, because at the time, VeVe, unfortunately, they're promising us a lot. They're promising us interoperability. It's going to come at the end of the year. We're going to have cash out. We're going to have comics a showroom. They start like promising just a little bit too much and not delivering on basically anything except for cash out during summer when it finally came. And I think last year, when around like the Darth Vader drop, I think that's finally when the team started to like get their act together a little bit and stop promising us stuff that they can't actually give us. So when they said, hey, the first round of cash out, like the beta test, it'll be in a few weeks, that's when it finally happened. It like people actually got the beta test for cash out in a few weeks. So it was the first time we saw them actually, act on what they said they were going to do. A few weeks later, cash out came. So I was still bullish the whole time, because at this time there's so much FUD. There's FUD in like some of my separate groups, and even in our VeVe Army chat, we were going through some bouts of FUD here and there. We're kind of just like bitching and moaning. We're getting upset over the team not delivering, but most of us still just like held strong. So I was happy with the team at the time. They finally delivered cash out, but prices still kind of kept falling the whole way down. Basically all last year. That last year was just really brutal for VeVe. Honestly, the whole year, ever since February, it was just a slow drip nonstop. We had a few small little pumps here, but they were short-lived. So basically my strategies kept changing the whole way, because I just didn't want to get caught, because, I already had bought. So I had a handful of buys that like just look fucking terrible. Like, obviously the Elsa purchase, I think I bought an R2, an R2D2 I also had bought for like 2,000 or so. And, right now it's like, $300-400. So I had like a decent amount of buys like that just felt terrible. And obviously a lot of us do. Obviously, most of the people who are still bullish, they just, I talked to a lot of people. We all have those screenshots and they look awful. So
we're not showing any screenshot today.
Yeah, we don't have to do that. But it's burnt to my head though, so it's fine. But I mean, that's just what we were going through at the time. So strategy just is still changing. It's still changing to this day, because they're changing edition sizes. There's just the app is getting diluted with like more brands, and so yeah, the strategy just keeps changing, and it's going to continue to change. Next year, I'm sure I'll have different thoughts about the app, and it's just always going to change. The main point is just I'm trying to like not get caught holding stuff anymore that I truly don't see value in.
So kind of like follow-up question to your comments about, in particular with Dcon. I remember I myself got caught up in that as well, with the hype with the Dcon pieces, and those being the first being available for interoperability. And obviously, like myself and many others, started buying into the hype and buying all these different collectibles, right? From
the artist pieces, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And, as time passed, my sentiment towards these pieces kind of waned, and I didn't feel quite as attached to them, mainly because as time went by, I was wondering like, okay, well, I heard this, when is it going to happen? So I ended up selling off all my Dcon pieces. They didn't click for me. Did you feel the same way about those? And did you end up selling those off as well? Or have you held on to any of those collectibles in particular?
Okay, so with the Dcon pieces, I have some, but I never bought them because specifically of like artist hype of like, oh, they're going to let the artists go to OpenSea. I was pretty rational about the whole OpenSea thing, because I kept hearing people say when this, X and X collectible goes to OpenSea, it's going to pump to whatever. Everyone just kept there was, for whatever reason, that just kept flowing through the community. They kept thinking that VeVe we're going to send collectibles to OpenSea and then they're going to go to 50th or whatever. So I wasn't really buying any of the artist stuff based off the hype. I was buying those pieces because those were some of the lowest edition stuff at the time. So right now we have tons of low edition stuff. But back then, an 888 ultra rare like the Hunter from Jermaine Rogers, like the Camo Hunter, that was one of the lowest pieces on the app at the time. So I remember when I got the rabbit set, because I remember I landed that on the drop. I landed the camo one, and then I just bought the other three. And I had already had the lucky because I hit that secret rare on like that random Sunday they dropped it. So I kind of just, and at the time, there wasn't that many sets on the app. And I just kind of liked it, and I still like it, and I still have that set. So that's why I bought some of those, because at the time, those were some of the lowest edition things you could buy. And back then, people just really value them. So like, at the time, Hunter, it hit like 2,400 at peak, and it was regularly like 1,000 plus for like almost a year. So people at the time really loved those low edition drops. So they're kind of worth getting because, at the time, because, now we have like 100 to like 500 edition things, pretty often, almost every other week. But back then we didn't have that many things. So it wasn't based off Dcon hype. It was just because of like how scarce it was at the time of how the app was going. But yeah, I didn't really buy into that type of hype too much.
Did you happen to add to your position with those Dcon pieces, independent artist pieces, as the market was kind of retracing?
Not too much. Not too much, because I don't think I have like dupes of like I don't think I have dupes of any of the artist pieces, to be honest. I think I just have like one of each of those. So I have like the Black Darrow, I have the Bears set, like the Veil Bears, I have the Jermaine Rogers, the Rabbits. I never bought Frank Kozig's Labbits. Never really cared for those. I have like two of those Vultures. And part of it, and those Vultures, it's not like those are good purchases. I mean, they're not like, you're not trying to make money off those. But one of the reasons why is because I got the physical, the Blackjack, like purple and blue one. So there's only like 100 of them made physical. So I bought one. My friend Michael also bought one. So we just thought that was cool because there's only 100 of them. So I got one of those, then got the one on VeVe just because it'd be cool just, take my AR pick with the physical.
Did those have a number assigned to them? One of X, 1 out of 100 or 20 out of 100?
Let me see. I don't think they do. Because I actually keep all my physical stuff here at my mom's house. This is the...
You have a tot? You have a physical tot?
Yeah, but I have a tot also.
Oh, nice.
Oh, all right.
No, this doesn't have a number. I remember in the box it didn't say anything about a number or anything. But I mean, I just kind of like this piece because I got it for, I think it was like $120 or something on the site. And the first day I got it, so I was just like, I don't know, I just liked it. I'm like, this thing looks kind of badass, and like vultures are like somewhat big in Egyptian culture, and I'm an Egyptian dude, so I thought this thing was cool.
Very nice. Did the artist? I think her name is like Camilla or something like that.
Yeah, Camille Garcia, I think her name is.
Oh, yeah. Did you get her to sign it?
No, I just bought her off the site, and that was just got delivered to me.
Okay.
I mean, if I could have her sign it, I would. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Since you guys were talking about Dcon and the concept of limited edition, one thought that came to my mind about scarcity that doesn't get talked about too much is we buy things because they're scarce, right? But then one thing that I realized over time, over the past 2 years now, a little bit over 2 years for me, is that they are only scarce for a certain period of time. Like you mentioned, some collectible like the Hunter from Frank Kozik or something like that, there were like 888 editions. And that was very scarce for VeVe, but it was scarce on VeVe for like 6 months until the next things came out. So I feel like the scarcity concept, if we were to play it right, like, okay, if this new piece comes out, there's only like 150 editions, and it comes out today, and within the next 5 months, it is the scarcest item on the app, then maybe that is a good time to think about taking profit before the next item that has 80 edition comes out. And that collectible with 150 editions kind of lose its top position as the scarcest item. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, yeah, it would have been smart to make decisions like that at the time. I think I did sell off some because I did have some of those Labbits. I remember I had like the rare one, Dave, like the visible and like the visible one that has like the neon look to it.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Yes. So I had that, and then I had the other one that was like clear, and I had a couple other random ones, but I never had the ultra rares because for the longest time, especially that black one, it was like 1,800 plus for like a year straight. So I was just like, well, I'm not buying that fucking thing for $1,800. But I had some of the others, and then I just like kind of sold them off after I talked to Josh's NFT interviews. I remember Josh was probably like the person who kind of instilled like the most knowledge to me, because at the time I was my first year in VeVe, I kind of was like semi lost where I wasn't making like the best decisions because there was only at the time like what, like 20, 30 sets on the app for like the longest time. I kind of like thought, oh, I need to buy some of these. I need to buy like lots of sets. And I was kind of just like all over the place. I was buying just a lot of random stuff. And I remember one time I was talking to Josh in Spaces and he said, hey, why don't you why don't you consolidate? He's like, and consider just buying like the best things. He's like, just buy the best stuff and just get out of all the crap and the clutter, like the stuff that just doesn't have value long term. So I kind of listened to him because at the time Josh was one of like the only whales that I like knew of and had contact with. And he was just smart. Like he was one of the people that made like some of the best decisions on the app as far as, flipping, getting out of it, understanding the value of scarcity and the brands. And he was just being smarter about it before I was. So that's when I sold off a lot of stuff. Cause I remember one day I went from like, I think 32 sets down to like 12. Cause I was just selling off. Yeah, I just started selling off a whole bunch of crap because I had like two Supergirls, I had like 10 Catwoman, I had some Batman dupes. The Batman stuff I still like I like the FAs, obviously those are good, but like the random like Gary Frank and like the Jason Fabok Batmans, like I didn't like, you don't need dupes of that stuff. It's not really helping. Just like keep it for sets, but you're not like gaining value owning some of that stuff. So I started making a whole bunch of cuts. I was selling some like my mighties because I had a lot of mighties and a lot of them were probably like way overpriced than they should be. So I just started dumping a lot of that stuff. So I think that was some like the best advice I got was from just talking to Josh the one day. And because I remember we talked for like probably like an hour on Spaces and he was just explaining to me, the way he thought about the app. And it kind of hit home with me. So I just started making decisions based off that. And so, yeah, that's how I got off a lot of those artist pieces also. And just like decluttering my collection. So
I would echo those sentiments and add that in order, like my way of hedging against any crazy market fluctuations and to not feel so bad if prices did drop is by sticking to just one nice mint of each collectible that I genuinely like. And then I would tell myself, okay, if the market starts flying again, then I wouldn't feel so bad because at least I have one and I like it and the mint is nice. But otherwise, yeah, like while I was collecting those DC collectibles, like the non-FA Batman, like black and white series ones, and those other characters that were not FAs, I was grabbing a couple of them, and I even stacked, what was it, the Batman Who Laughs.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I was.
yeah, I think I had like 6 of those at one point too. Yeah, so
Yeah, I got up to like 30 or 40 of those, and the floor was like 200.
A lot of people stack Batman Who Laugh. A lot of people stack it.
It was. I think it was what's the game? What's the game that has that character on it?
Was it Fortnite?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard a lot of rumblings about that, and
Yeah, there's unjustified hype around it. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, I every time I think I've learned my lesson, or like every lesson that there is on the app and in the community, I learned that I'm still a sucker for some things, and that was one of them. But yeah, I had a whole bunch of sets as well, like you, and I sold off a lot of things, and I broke sets. And I was just like, you know what? I'm not even going to be a big enough player in the ecosystem for it to even help me. Like there's just people who are just going to blow me out of the water that have deeper pockets than me. So I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to consolidate and focus on just getting a couple of things I actually like. And if I have some gems left over, at least I'd be liquid enough to be able to buy upcoming drops, especially if those are more scarce than the previous ones that we've had, right? And I think that's kind of like what you may have been speaking to, is that, and to Will's question, how do we get ready for those more scarce drops? Do we have a strategy to take profits before the next big thing? So I think that's kind of how I've gravitated to doing.
Yeah, I mean the strategy is just going to keep changing. Because even still, like even to this day, I started I remember like maybe 2 months ago or so, I randomly started just like accumulating cheap sets again. because we're starting to hear word, hey, MCP is like around the corner, this and that. We're going to send out beta test access to certain people. So I started looking through the app, and I was like, okay, well, I can get like some $30 sets. That's no problem. Like, so I got like the baseball stamp, the milk thing. I don't know. I can't remember what the name of it is. It's like the Asian girl sitting on that white thing. I don't remember what it is. But I just started just buying random stuff. The sunflower grins, because there's a decent amount of cheap sets where you can just like stack up MCP points for cheap and just like get some sets. And also part of my thought was when the VeVe comes, I do think it would be somewhat smart to not monetarily smart. You're not just going to gain a lot of value from it, but just to just have more diverse collection in your VeVe, just to make your home look a little bit cooler. Because if my VeVe home is just a bunch of Batmans and Spider-Mans, and then that's basically it, it's not gonna be that colorful. It's not gonna have that much variety and make people be like, oh wow, what a really cool, what a cool home you have. So I started hitting me. I'm like, okay, I probably should get some of these cheap artist pieces, some of these cheap sets. It'll get me some MCP points for cheap. I'll have some stuff to put in the VeVe home. And because after I saw that demo from Dan by Dcon with the VeVe, I was kind of blown away. It exceeded my expectations of what I thought it was going to be. And I kind of was looking, I'm like, that's kind of smart. I'm like, he has artist pieces here. He has some like Batman stuff outside. And he's had a diverse collection of stuff around the house. And it kind of just made sense. Just get cheap stuff. Obviously I don't have an expectation of like profiting off of some of these pieces. So yeah, the strategy is still just like is ever changing. But as far as like actually making good decisions to like, gain value in my collection, then yeah, I have a strategy for that too, which is, it's going to be, targeting the big brands, targeting the big FAs, because like under the assumption mass adoption actually hits VeVe, and because I think it's smart to make decisions under the assumption VeVe is successful and we have a lot of people here. Because like if you're buying, eventually you do want to be able to like sell some off, and if there's going to be mass adoption here, what are they going to gravitate towards? Like everyone knows who Spider-Man is. That's pretty easy. Everyone knows who Batman is. So it's easy to think of getting like a Todd, a Spider-Man first appearance. Everyone knows a lot of who those Disney characters are. And, according to like VeVe Magic and Michael and some of these other people I talk to, Disney collectors have deep pockets, and like when they want to buy things, they will. So kind of made sense. Okay, well, get some of these Disney FAs. It's like some of these things are just kind of just easy. So I just kind of, that's my kind of part of my strategy going forward, sticking to the big brands, the big FAs, and mix it in with some of these scarce items because, obviously in the past 2 months, we're getting to like really low edition things. So the strategy is just going to keep changing, and it's going to keep changing like nonstop because we don't know what brands are still coming and what grails are going to emerge in the next couple months.
I actually got goosebumps when you mentioned the events leading to Disney and how like right after Disney there was Dcon. That was pretty wild. Yeah, I actually got goosebumps thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, we can elaborate on that if you want, because I remember that was really exciting because that was the first time I had, well, at least for me, because I normally like don't run with a lot of gems in my account. Mm-hmm. But I had sold off. What was that piece that Ray was always pumping?
Superman Pride. Okay.
Yeah. So I had a Pride that I got for like $200 or something on the market, like the first day it came out, and I held it for so long because Ray's just constantly pumping this thing. Everyone's all hyped up, because it's a Givenchy piece. So I sold it for like, I think 4.8K at the time. And I remember I felt like I was paper handing it because it was like notoriously like 6K plus for like the longest time. But leading up to Disney Golden Moments, that's when there was kind of a big dip because everyone was kind of doing the same thing. They're trying to get gems ready to be ready for the Disney week. So that helped me. I sold like Pride and sold some Batman stuff. I sold some like the Mighties and just random artist pieces I didn't need. So I had like 8,000 gems for the Disney Gold Week. So I was like, I was prepared.
Wait. Actually, can we save that story for later?
Sure.
Because I want to transition from how you were changing your strategy to the Secret Rare Spider-Man. Okay. So Steven, it sounds like you've been trying to consolidate to the key piece on the app to prepare for mass adoption. We know that you recently acquired the Secret Rare Spider-Man, which is one of the biggest grails on the app. Can you walk us through your whole thought process, the trades that you made in order to get there, and how do you feel about having it now?
So yeah, I'm gonna answer that question. First, I'm gonna tell you a short story about Secret Rare Spider-Man and
Okay.
the reason why I had to get Spider-Man. All right. So I don't tell many people this. Some people know, some people don't. I hit Secret Rare Spider-Man on the drop, and I've already owned it before.
Oh,
Oh,
I've already owned this thing before. All right. So at the time, I got greedy because there was a period of time where I was kind of like doing kind of well timing the market, and I was selling things and buying them back cheaper because I was like, I still think I am pretty good at it. I'm like good at spotting out where momentum is heading to on Twitter and in Discord, because a lot of people on Twitter are the same people you interact with on Discord chats, and I thought I had a pretty good grasp on the market. So I really foolishly sold my Secret Rare Spider-Man for like 2,000. And I thought it was going to head back down to like $1,300, and I'm just going to rebuy it back because it just kept happening. Like, because the first like month, maybe even 2 months of Spider-Man, this thing was just pumping and dumping every other day. It would go up to like 2,300. It would come all the way back down to like 1,200. It kept happening nonstop. So I foolishly thought, oh, I'm going to time this. This is going to be easy. So I sold it, and then it finally just didn't dump. And in fact, it went to like 7,400 like 4 days later. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, what just happened? So I was freaking out. I'm like, wait a minute, what just happened? I'm like, please don't tell me I just got locked out of this thing. And then it went up to like 10K. And then some of the guys in the VeVe Army chat, they're going to the VeVe chat, and they're like kind of pumping it up and hyping up Spider-Man. And like the price, I felt like the price is going up like $500 every 30 minutes. I'm like, this can't be happening to me. So yeah, I had to watch this thing go off, and everyone knows the story. This thing went to like 12K, then 15, 20, 30. It just kept going up, and the train left without me. And I like, so to this day, that was my biggest mistake on the app, like easily, was selling that piece off. And everyone's always making fun of Foster because Foster's an influencer and blah, blah, blah. He sold it too early. And because he basically did the same thing. I'm pretty sure Foster sold his for like 2,000. And I don't know what his plan was, but he did sell it, and then it went up. And I'm watching people make fun of him nonstop because he has a platform, and I guess people look up to him. I made that same mistake, and I started gambling with, and I made a mistake, and it happened. So that's why when I had the chance recently to get Spider-Man again, I kind of knew probably about 4 months that I was going to try to get it back, because I saw how the market just keeps on kind of just dumping downwards, and I kind of knew, I'm like, I am pretty sure I'm going to have an opportunity to get it. I just have to like make a game plan and figure out what I need to sell, which ones I'll be okay with selling to get back. And that's what I did. So I literally went on Google Sheets. I made a spreadsheet of exactly what the floor prices were at the time. I subtracted the 8.5%. So I did a lot of homework. It took me a couple hours to figure out exactly what pieces I'm okay with getting rid of and then buying back later. Because some of these pieces, they're like even some of the Disney stuff. I love all the Disney golden moments, but they all kind of have like somewhat stable floors, and they also have high enough additions. And realistically, we're not hitting any sort of bull market soon. Like, I think it's not going to be at least till next year, and maybe even longer. So the way I saw it, I'm going to get rid of one of my 2 partner statues. And even though I hype those things up all the time, because it's like, it was my favorite piece on the app, I was like, all right, I have 2 of them. One of them's like a really high mint anyways. I'm going to get rid of one of those. I'm going to get rid of like R2-D2, Elsa, C3PO, because I had dupes of every golden moment. Like, at least all the first week of golden moments, I had 2 of each of all of those. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna sell some of those dupes. I sold a Darth Vader ultra rare. I sold those like blue.
Do you remember how much you sold the partner statue and Darth Vader and R2 for?
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
roughly, just a rough estimate.
Yeah, I know. The timing kind of worked out good. Well, semi good. I sold Walt for, I think, $3,099, and
Yeah.
I was trying to sell it for like 3,300 at the time, but I got caught in undercutting war versus a bunch of other people who are trying to list. So I basically just kept listing lower and just to get rid of it as fast as I could. So I sold that. I think I sold R2 for like 550. I think I sold Elsa for like 240.
That's good.
C3PO, I think like similar. I think it was like maybe like $40 more. It might have been like 270 or 280. I sold C3PO. And then Vader I sold for 570. At the time, it felt terrible because I was just like, even though I'm going through it and I'm pretty sure I knew what I was doing, I'm like pretty sure these pieces won't fly up like in my face after I sell them. Still doesn't feel good after you like sell something you've held for so long and you believe in. but I did get rid of all of them. Right now, the prices are lower on literally all of those pieces I sold, including Wall. All of them are lower. So the plan somewhat worked. So I finally had enough gems, and then I added on some gems. Like I just bought some gems. So I added enough on, and then I bought the Secret of Spider-Man for $72.99, which at the time it was good because the floor was like 8K for like longest time, and then someone listed for like low sevens, and I was able to get it. So I was pretty happy at the time with the purchase. Right now it kind of looks bad because it's like there's like for whatever reason people are flooring them, so like there's a lot in the 5 to 6K range. But I don't care. I'm happy with it. I know what I'm holding. I'm really happy to finally have it back. I've seen the upside on it. And even though the upside was manipulated by gems being so cheap at the time, because obviously the prices that we saw in 2021, they weren't natural organic prices because people were buying gems off the market for cheap. And, so we kind of understand that the market was inflated due to that. But even if Spider-Man goes to half of its all-time high, I'm still super happy. Even if it goes to 25% of the all-time, like I'm still happy with it. So yeah, I'm just really happy to have that thing back, especially after watching it just go up without me and having to watch the train go off without me. And
that's the worst feeling ever.
It's the worst because everyone's just celebrating left and right. It's just like every time it goes up another 1,000, everyone's in the chat posting the screenshots of the floor. And I'm just like, stop posting these damn screenshots. And I'm just like, I'm so sick of seeing it. Like so yeah, my jealousy was through the roof. My regret was through the roof for a while. So I'm glad to have it back now. And I know there's some other people targeting it soon that we're friends with. So I'm just happy to see more of us get it. Because it's just like, to me, it's like the top piece in the app. It's pretty easy. First Marvel NFT, most popular hero in the world. It's pretty easy. So I'm happy to have that piece.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm happy for you. And like, I can't imagine like that first night of being able to sleep knowing that you've got that in your vault. Oh my gosh, man.
Oh yeah, it was a huge relief. I'm like, I finally got it back. And like obviously in our army chat, all of us are like rooting for each other. We're always cheering for each other anytime someone makes a big purchase, or makes a big play, targets something they wanted. So we saw Matt get the secret rare Amazing Fantasy 15, and everyone was super happy for him. And like we saw Blue got one too. So I mean, it's just fun. Like it's just fun when everyone's kind of just like getting their pieces that they view as grails and getting in their collection. Because I don't know, like when they win, we all win. I don't know. It's just like when everyone's kind of happy and positive about something, it feels like a team win when everyone's kind of just like achieving their goals. You're getting your low mints left and right. So we're always rooting for you when you get them. So I mean, that's what it's about.
Yeah, and it's hard to come by that too, especially like on all these other platforms, Twitter, and I mean, to be honest, I got off of Facebook years ago because I couldn't deal with that like fakeness on there. But when it comes to people being authentic and genuine and very supportive, VeVe Army is where it's been at.
It easily is. So I used to hang out in this other chat. I won't name any of the names or anything. Just gonna avoid doing that. But I was hanging out in this other chat, and I was like one of like a handful of people, like maybe one of like 3 people that was kind of bullish, and it seemed like everyone else was kind of just upset all the time, getting really upset that the team's missing deadlines, and I was too. I didn't ignore it. I was always aware that deadlines are being missed, but it was just the complaining was just like it felt like it was never ending, and it felt like the same things were being regurgitated over and over. So that type of thing was starting to kind of like get on my nerves. I'm like, I don't understand how we're just not going to have fun anymore. We're just going to just like complain at all times. So I don't like frequent that chat anymore. I basically just hang out in VeVe official Discord because there's a couple like secret chats in there because I ranked up so much. So there's like a handful of people I talk to in there. And then there's the VeVe Army chat, which is like easily my favorite chat in at all the servers or groups I'm in. And it's infinitely better than Twitter.
Oh yeah.
So
it's
like
messy up there. Twitter's so messy.
Yeah. I mean, Twitter's like the front lines of the battlefield. So like, people are just shooting each other left and right. There's people constantly just going at each other. There's lots of drama that happens on Twitter. And that's why I usually don't like tweet very often. I'm pretty relatively quiet. I like people's posts. So like, I'll like people's tweets here and there. Very, very infrequently actually tweet with people because like people are just going at each other all the time. And like, I don't know, I'm just a relatively positive person. I'm like, I'm not very talkative. I'm not trying to like get caught up in people's drama because you might like respond to someone and they might twist it and just, start arguing with you just because. So I'm not very like fond of Twitter, like as far as the way the interactions work on there. But these Discord communities, so we can transition a little bit onto how like my thoughts on how these Discord communities are. I think they're great because when you're in like the VeVe official Discord or basically the VeVe Army chat we're in, or whatever chats you're in, you're dealing with the primary VeVe users and you're being able to interact with these people and it's just them. When you're on Twitter, you might send off a tweet about VeVe or something, and then you might start attracting like people from a different NFT community who just want to shit on you because they think VeVe sucks, they're not interoperable, they're not real NFTs, whatever the rhetoric is that they're spewing. So sometimes you might attract people that you just don't even want to interact with. So on these Discord communities, you can actually build relationships in these small communities because basically like all of us in our army chat, a lot of us, we talk to each other, not just about VeVe, we talk about other stuff. Like I'm like congratulating like Gruba on making it one day closer to his wedding because I'm genuinely happy for him. The man's about to get married. Like, he has a good life ahead of him. Like it's just, we're all happy for him. So we root for each other, not just for VeVe, but just in real life. So we're actually building relationships, in VeVe and outside of it. And I think that's great. It helps strengthen your relationship overall with these people. Whereas on Twitter, you might interact with someone and let's say you guys have a disagreement and then they start name calling you. They start trash talking, whatever it is. This type of stuff doesn't happen in like the small communities. I'm not on the Facebook VeVe community, but everyone kind of has like good words to say about it. They say that it's actually pretty good and pretty nice because it's like a small community of people and everyone's relatively respectful and they don't like talk down to each other. And the same thing's kind of happening in Discord. You're in a smaller group of people. You're building relationships to where, let's say me and you are talking in like the open general chat of our army chat. If we disagree, we're not just going to start calling each other names. It's just like, we'll just talk it out, we'll make our points. And then that's that. We're just going to be respectful about it because we already have a relationship that's been growing and bonding for, months and months. Whereas you might go to Twitter and you don't talk to people as often. So you don't have a relationship with them. So people might just like fire off at you. You might block them. They might block you. And that's that. And just like, I don't know, it's kind of like a toxic atmosphere sometimes on Twitter. And it's not always like that. Sometimes it's really good. And sometimes you do build good relationships out there. But I that's kind of why I like hanging out in the Discord communities a lot because it's more my primary people that I talk to, already have relationships with, and it's the primary VeVe community. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. Not sure if you guys agree or disagree or where you guys' heads at. But
yeah, so I agree with you on Twitter because Twitter has gotten so messy, especially, as time went on and people became more negative towards VeVe. And also because on Twitter, you don't have to, you can stay anonymous. So people can say whatever they want. As a content creator, I post my videos and the episodes for this podcast everywhere. So I'm on every single platform. Our content shows up on 7 platforms. And at first I was kind of hesitated with Facebook because on Facebook, we have to use our real Facebook account to post on the VeVe Facebook group. But then I actually like the Facebook group quite a bit because when I post something or when people comment or, share their feedbacks, they are actually using their real Facebook account with their first name and last name. So I feel like people are more cautious. Well, not really cautious, but more mindful about what they say because, it's not
connected to their name and not the anonymous Twitter account. Yeah.
Yeah, people are more mindful. Yeah, and also the VeVe Army group, which is where we all met. I feel like this is a super rare case where everybody is so supportive of each other. And I'm super grateful to have that community and to be able to meet you guys there.
Yeah, I'd third that in the sense that with Twitter, there's no accountability. People can delete those accounts or whatever unless there's something super, super serious. But otherwise, it's kind of like a kids fight or like a middle school fight where people can say whatever they want and just walk away. Like when you're trying to explain yourself or get a point across, or if nobody wants to have a true discussion, right? Because a discussion is an opportunity for people to bounce ideas back and forth, make a claim, provide evidence, and support it with details and examples. But on Twitter, people just want to say what they want to say and move on and be very dismissive of others instead of giving an opportunity to hear, to read, process clearly what the conveyed message is intended to convey. But instead it's just no, I'm right, you're wrong, and then insert vulgar language at this point, and then they disappear or block you right then and there, right? So I'd agree. It's you can only do so much on your end, but there are some knuckleheads that aren't quite the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk all day about like the whole Twitter thing. I mean, I won't, but like it's just like you got people clout chasing on one end. You got people like trying to manipulate people's thoughts with pump and dumps. You got people like trash talking the team, trash talking people who are bullish. The bullish people are trash talking the people who are spreading FUD. And it just goes in a circle. It's like round and round we go. Restarts every other day. We'll have VeVe drama. It'll expire in 2 days. Then the next new drama will start up, and just like I don't understand how this keeps taking place on Twitter, but it doesn't really take place elsewhere. It's just like this crap doesn't happen in like the Discords or like on the Facebook groups, at least it seems. But it seems like every single day you fire up Twitter, there's just something new. There's just something new to complain about. And it's not always like that. I feel like we're being like very negative about it, but it's kind of my thoughts on why I just don't interact on there as much. So yeah, that's where I just see a lot of value in just these Discord communities. So
yeah, I feel terrible to be honest, whenever I want to promote the videos or the episodes, I would log into Twitter, post it, or schedule for future posts and then log out because I just feel so depressed when I'm on there. But let's go to a more positive direction. I have this question for you, Steven.
Yeah.
So basically, I think that we have these FUDs and negativity all the time, but every single time VeVe can do one or two things that will instantly take care of all of that and make people fall in love with the app again. In 2021, we had all these problems, but VeVe came out with Marvel, Disney, right? And then people were very happy. In 2022 was a pretty terrible year, but we had Dcon, we had that we had the VeVeverse at Dcon, we had that Marvel partnership at Comic-Con, we had Darth Vader AF-15, the completion of Immutable X migration. In 2023, we don't have so much yet, but we have Lambo. Hopefully we'll see MCP and OUP. So from now until the end of 2023, what are one or two or even three things that VeVe should accomplish to completely change the community's sentiment and make you happy?
Okay, so I kind of wrote down because this is a really good question, and I wanted to write down some of my thoughts because I didn't want to forget it. So the first thing I think is just better and more frequent communication with the actual user. So like even right now, the team hasn't spoken to us in quite a while. Like we're hearing from like Alex, because Alex is frequently in Twitter spaces, but realistically, we can't all just like track down Alex and see if he's in his base at night and then pray he gives out some sort of like info of some sort for us to digest or something to get hyped over. And Mitch is good, but Mitch's job seems like he's trying to like manage expectations, manage priorities. He's not going to like hype us up with stuff. I want to see the team be more active and hype up their products more, hype up their promises that they've given us and give us more reason to believe that they're going to actually deliver on some of them. So I'd like to see more communication specifically from David and Dan, because when they speak, people listen, record, they remember everything that they say because they're the actual like heads of the project. So I'd like to see them speak more with the community, whether they start running Twitter spaces the way they used to, which I thought those are like some of the best times when they would run the Twitter spaces like once every couple of weeks. We would have hundreds and hundreds of people, sometimes like 1,000 people in there, because people just want to get the updates straight from the horse's mouth. They want to hear it right from them. So I think if they could go back to delivering us more communication, that would be great. I think that's one of the first things that they can do that'll make people settle down, because the in-between time where there's no communication, we're not hearing anything, that's when people start spreading the rumors. The team's not doing anything. They're not doing anything. They're just sitting there. So they like to say that when they don't hear from them. So yeah, they need to be more mindful about getting those update videos out. If they want to go back to doing the Twitter spaces or just tweeting from their account, like if Dave and Dan would just tweet from their account, hey, this update we're working on is getting close to the finishing stages. We're hoping to have it rolled out. I mean, I understand you have to be careful with dates because every time they blow past a date, people just get pissed even more. But just basically, they need to just like communicate with us. So that's one of the first things I think they can do. More engagement designed to hype us up, like showing more previews. So I think if they could show us more previews of the VeVeverse, because I'm sure they've been working on it this whole time, ever since the year started. So they showed us that demo at Dcon. I don't see why they can't just preview a few more times, like promote and re-promote your product. So show it to us again. Show us a different type of theme of the VeVeverse home. So show off different themes of your home and let us see what it might look like. So because like on the road to the VeVeverse actually being rolled out, I don't see why it has to just be, okay, VeVe versus rolled out in 2 weeks. Here it is. Like, build the hype, like keep building it up and show it to us a couple more times and let people tweet about it. Like maybe someone makes a tweet that goes viral. Maybe Metaverse Life takes one of your videos and edits it because he has, like, amazing editing skills, and maybe he just hypes it up and makes it look really good. So I think they need to showcase their product way more often and promote, re-promote, and I'll touch on that again because I wrote down a ton of ideas that I have that the team can do. So right now we have the MCP betas going out. So some of the users already have the beta access on their profile, so you can see the MCP points, your rank. So you can see basically MCP version 1. Why can't they show us what the finished product might look like? Like, show us the concept of, like, your concept pictures of what MCP final version looks like, or MCP Pro. Show us what it might look like, in 6 months, 9 months, however. I don't know when it's actually going to be finished, like the final version of MCP, but give us something to look forward to so we know what the final product might look like. So show us MCP in its final stage. Hey, this is what stage 1 is going to be. You're going to see your rank, your points, but later down the line, this is what we think it's going to look like, and give us a rough draft of what that MCP Pro or the final version will look like.
That's a really good point, because I work in tech, and most tech companies don't do this, but I think VeVe should do it. Is that when we design a new product, let's just say MCP, right? We usually have a mock-up, basically just a drawing, or just some graphic of exactly what it looks like. So that's it, right? And then we would distribute the work, and then the engineer would start working on it, and then people would finish their work, and then we would have a pretty basic version of MCP on the product, but not visible to the public. Maybe what they can do is, like, during that process, because the team is so close to us already, we feel very connected with Dan and David and Alex and Mitch. Maybe just share with us some of those screenshots, like, oh, hey, we are working on this. It's not perfect yet, but this is what's going to look like by the end of the year, or this is what David's account looks like. That's going to be very helpful for us to visualize it and to know that the team is making progress. And maybe they're facing challenges instead of not having anything for an extended period of time, like you mentioned.
That's exactly what I'm thinking, because, like, the delays in communication is when people start going so nuts, because they want to hear updates, they want to hear progress. So instead of waiting so long and then finally, giving us the promise that they want to deliver, like, you can still give us a timeline of when things might finally be released, and then show it off and show the rough draft of what the final version will look like. So then when they finally do release MCP in its final form, maybe they underpromise and overdeliver. Maybe the rough draft we saw flat out sucks of what the final version will look like, and then they blow us away when it finally comes. So there's ways they can, like, really, really make people happy by showing us something and deliberately undersell it a little bit, so that when it comes, we're surprised, and then we're super happy, like, wow, look at all these features it came with we didn't expect. That's something that's just like a quick example, and I put it around MCP. You can basically apply the same concept to OUP, the comics in the showroom. I don't understand why you can't just show us a rough draft of what comics in showroom might look like.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's that can't be too hard to just make, like, a mock-up picture and put it in the show. Like, I don't see how that's too hard, where you can at least preview it. So, like, preview.
It's basically like a Disney poster, right? Like, you know what? Like let's just say you want to put a common variant of the AF-15. If it was just a mock-up, then it basically looks just like a regular Disney poster, but in a showroom, right?
That's what my thought is, but I'm not sure if they're trying to go for, like, a slab type thing where it shows the edition number and the rarity on each comic. So maybe that's something. I'm just guessing. I don't actually know what their plans are, but all I know is it's taking too long. Yeah, go ahead.
Like, something that comes to mind is, how different crypto projects have bounties if you find a bug in it, like with their project, with their ecosystem, with how things operate. I think VeVe ought to consider being willing to make those kind of mistakes and just launch things.
They're gonna lose all of the money.
No, I mean, like, just launch whatever they have, let the people interact with it. As people come up and express, like, concerns with it,
Yeah, turned off and fix it again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they did that with the web app, because the web app had a feed and we were able to use the showrooms somewhat on the web app. And then it turned out it just really sucked. The feed was like not really working. You can't save any pictures from like the showroom on the web app. So you can't even save the pictures, and it was kind of really clunky. So they finally just turned it all off. But I'm fine with that. Like at least they tried, They tried, they realized it's not gonna work, so they're turning it off and they're gonna fix it.
Yeah, and like there's even with when it comes to artwork or music or performances, there's never an artist or musician or what have you that feels satisfied with what their finished product is that when they present it, because there's always something that could be improved on, right? So we're in this vicious cycle of where maybe they're not satisfied, but at the same time, when is anyone satisfied with their product, right? There's always going to be something to build on or improve or tweak.
I wanted to give a couple more ideas
Yeah,
because
please do.
you asked about the three things the VP could accomplish. Because I wrote down a ton of shit last night. Okay, so this one I don't think will actually work too well, but I'll just say it anyway. So I wrote down planting more seeds around partnerships and features. I don't think they can really plant seeds about partnerships because that might break NDAs and stuff that they have with companies. It'll probably be pretty hard to plant seeds around them, but they can still plant seeds around features that they have. Like, because let's say they have like music coming. I don't think that's something they have to like hide. They can still hint at it or give us like reasons to be hyped, to like plant some seeds here and there around music to make us think that it's coming soon or coming in a few months, whatever it is. I just think the VeVe Twitter account is so underutilized because it's the same old announce a drop. The next day or 2 days later, they post a medium. So then we learn what the price is, what the edition sizes are, and the rarities. That's it. So they don't utilize their Twitter account nearly as much as they could. Like I feel like they need to continuously use it and promote things and hype things up. And they might just hit gold one of these days. They might finally just like send off a tweet that kind of goes viral, or like maybe they finally just hit the right button and people to start talking about it a lot. So I'd like to see them just use that Twitter account 10 times more than they do now. So another thing I wrote down, because you said what would change community sentiment and make me happy. So obviously the elephant in the room is the interoperability. Everyone wants it. They did promise us that, and we haven't gotten it. So I don't think they lied about it. The way people on Twitter say they lied, they're grifters, they're scammers, whatever, like all the excessive terms that they're using to describe the team, they didn't lie to us. They just keep on delivering everything so late. And earlier today, I did a little bit more homework because I knew they talked about interoperability on the Matt Gondek podcast that David Yu did on, I think, February 14th last month. So if you go to that podcast, you go to the 36-minute and 30-second mark, and you listen for about 2 minutes. So you're going to hear David Yu talk about interoperability, and he's going to talk about Amazon and eBay on how those are the potential chosen partnerships where they're going to let us sell NFTs at. But before he says that, he talks about how in the VeVeverse, we're going to be able to take our collectibles and send them out to the VeVeverse. And then we're also going to be able to take OpenSea collectibles and also display them in the VeVeverse. So everyone knows that, and people were somewhat hyped about it, but I guess they don't care as much. The thing they really want is the VeVe collectibles to be able to go to OpenSea. Like, they don't care about OpenSea coming to us. They want VeVe collectibles to go to OpenSea, to go into our own wallets, cold storage, because that's what we were promised, and I fully get that. So in that interview at the 36-minute mark, David, in the VeVeverse, stage 1 is going to come out. We're going to be able to send our collectibles to the VeVeverse and then the OpenSea stuff. After that's complete, and after they see how things go, they're going to program a feature to where we can finally send our collectibles and make them interoperable. So they're going to wait and see which brands agree to it, and then they're going to program a way to let us do that. So they did. So like David, you just recently said it, and I understand people who are listening, they're going to be like, yeah, but David, you and Dan have been saying this for 2 years. Why do you believe them now? You either believe what they say or you don't. If you're already at the point where you don't believe the thing they're saying anymore, I can't really help you. But if you believe the team is truthful and they're going to do what they're going to say they're going to do, that's our most recent information that we've got. David, you just said they're going to program it after stage 1, the VeVeverse comes out, and they're going to see which brands they're going to let go, see how it goes, see if the users can handle it. So I'm sure some of the users, they might screw up. They might accidentally send something to the wrong address. they might just screw something up and then just lose NFTs. Unfortunately, you got to pay tuition in this business. You're gonna have to learn. It's gonna be trial by fire. So that's basically our latest interoperability talk from the team. I'd like to see them do it. I hope VeVe, as we were told, VeVe is going to come at the end of Q2. They said that we should have the first version of it out. I really hope they hit that mark. If they don't, it's going to get loud on Twitter again. Right now, people feel lied to. People feel let down by the team, and I totally understand it. I just wish they'd be a little bit more respectful about the way they talk to the team. And realistically, if Dcon was like next week, these people are going to go to David Yu and Dan. They're going to hug them. They're going to ask for pictures. They're going to be super nice to them. But then on Twitter, they're calling them names and they're digging up their high school grades. They want to know who David Yu's first girlfriend is, ask if she cheated on, or if he cheated on her, this and that. They're doing whatever they can to discredit the team right now. So those are some things I want to see. I want to see them like really, really roll out interoperability. I think that'll take out at least 50% of people's frustrations, because that the interoperability talk has been going on for like at least 2 months straight. And it's like every day people keep talking about it. They're yelling at the top of their lungs about it. And it sounds really similar to the cash out FUD that we had last year, where people are so sure that we're not getting cash out and VeVe is just going to, hold our gems forever. So it's the way it's like getting really loud right now. It reminds me of last year with the cash out FUD, where people are so certain it's not coming and then it just comes. And I think something similar will happen this year with interoperability.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
I mean, I'm in the same camp as you. Like, I don't have doubts. I just know that it's gonna take. I'm gonna need to exercise my patience more than I would like to, because I think we could find some parallels to the crypto market where anyone who's been involved in those massive gains really quick, you're spoiled, right? And everyone's patience is razor thin. And so we expect instant gratification. And not only there, everything else in real life now, thanks to technology developing exponentially every single day, So I think that's where our sense of entitlement really can ruin a good thing, right? And VeVe is it's a beautiful thing. I mean, it's the perfect marriage of so many different elements of the real world experiences that's available at the tips of our fingers, right?
Yeah, I feel like if you were to, let's just say, buy Tesla stocks, for example, or Disney stock or Amazon stock, you're not going to go on Twitter and spend every single day flooding it, right? Like that's not how things usually work. I think that VeVe being so close to the community accidentally, in a very unfortunate way, allowed that to happen. Like, one of my favorite cars ever is a Tesla Cybertruck, and Tesla announced it back in 2019. So it's been 4 years now, almost 4 years now, and there's no truck ever delivered yet. So it's been 4 years. Tesla, which is a huge brand, has been making cars for many years, can make the Cybertruck right away, but because of many reasons, they have not been able to produce it. So I think many of us need to look at that example and then think about VeVe, because yes, a lot of things are on the pipeline, but because this is a very small team, there are so many things to do. They just haven't been able to get to it yet, even though they really, really want to get it done as soon as possible. Yeah, that was just my thought on it.
Yeah, and it just, because it almost comes on, because I know people hate when we use the term FUD, because people are like, well, we're bringing up real issues. It's not FUD. And it's just like, listen, to a point, you're right. But the way you talk about the team and the way you express yourself is completely different than how other people are expressing themselves. Because I think you can be respectful and you can voice your opinions, and sometimes you can actually get engagement from the team. Because I've seen people tweet at Mitch recently and they ask questions, they do it respectfully, and then he answers. And I think it's very simple. It's just like, just treat people how you want to be treated and talk to them with respect, and you'll get answers back. I think you can do the same thing, rather than like posting a clip of David and Dan making a promise, it's not delivered, and then you tag them and say, you guys are liars and scammers. Like, they're not going to respond to you. Like, there's no way they can respond to that. I wouldn't respond to that either if I was in their position. And on top of that, there's something that I don't think many people talk about or even realize, is we're not just the VeVe community on Twitter. I mean, we are, but there's NFT communities from other NFTs that are watching us, like the people at the Bored Apes, the people with all, the punks and these expensive OpenSea collectibles, they're watching us. All the other NFT communities, they're watching us. The people from the CALs and HRO, even though it's like kind of like a mixed bag with VeVe, it's a lot of the same people. Communities from all over are watching us. So when they watch the VeVe people just complain and complain and complain and bicker among each other, going at the team, it kind of just makes us all look like a bunch of spoiled, whining babies. And I think that's why it's part of the reasons why I'm very quiet on Twitter, is because I'm trying to avoid all that. And I kind of wish things would just go back to how they were like over a year ago, where people were just a lot more positive and hyped up about things. And then I used to be in Twitter spaces all the time, almost every night. I would listen to Twitter spaces, and I still listen to it very often. But back then, it was a lot more fun to be in, and people were in a good mood and hyped. And people from other communities would come in and get on the stage and ask questions about VeVe, because there's a positive sentiment around it, and people just wanted to learn what it is. And then people would teach them. You'd have new users literally joining like in real time, like on Twitter spaces. So right now, like, who's going to join the VeVe community while everyone's just going nuts and calling each other names and just like cursing out the team, talking about all the promises that are being like not delivered every single day? Because it's literally like every day at this point. And just like, I'm not joining communities that's doing that. It just seems miserable. So I wish people would be more mindful and be more aware of what's going on around them, and it will have better results in the community. But it's easier said than done. Danny DeBull brought up a good point in that podcast he did with Chad from like last week, where he said right now we're in the bear market. The bears have the microphone right now. This is their time to shine. This is their time to bring up stuff that they're upset about, because it's, we're just in a bearish time right now. So they have the floor right now. And when things turn around, then you're going to see the bulls. They're going to have the microphone. They're going to be the ones speaking and having more content to talk about, because, when VeVe delivers their promises, when VeVe Collectibles or OMI, when prices go up, if they go up, that's when the bulls have the microphone again. They're going to have more things to talk about. Right now, prices are going down, promises aren't being delivered. So the bears are the loudest ones on Twitter. They're the ones who have the microphone right now. So I kind of heard that analogy. I'm like, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense the way he put it. So that's what we're going through right now, and kind of just have to ride it out and just put your head down and grind. Just keep your goals, stay focused to them. And on top of that, just, enjoy your real life outside of VeVe. And, things won't be so stressful. But if you're too focused and too absorbed in the community and like all the shenanigans, it'll weigh you down. So that's part of my thoughts about like kind of community stuff and Twitter. And then, yeah, I'd like them to survey more people. I know that they have the, what's it called? The program they're doing, the panel. They have the community panel to get feedback. I'd still like them to go on Twitter and every once in a while just survey some people, ask people what they think of features or drops. Just ask them in general what they think. Get more feedback in real time. Ask for suggestions, and then, actually act on them. Because the thing is, people forget the VeVe team actually does take our suggestions and listen to us. They've been doing it ever since the beginning. So we used to have the mint numbers. They would drop in order. So like 41 would drop first, then 42. That's how our drops used to go. And obviously the people who have the fastest connections that are landing 41s, that's how it used to go back then. So they took our suggestion to randomize it. Now all the mints are randomized. When ClockGate used to be a thing, they took our suggestion on how to fix it, and like adding KYC. That was a community suggestion, but adding KYC to hopefully slow down the bots. I know it hasn't slowed it down that much, but it has had some effect. So the team does listen to us. I think people just forget about it. The team's very receptive to any suggestions you give them. There's only, they have a priority list that's different than ours. I think people just need to realize that.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you there.
Yeah, I mean, sorry I go on long tangents. Part of it is I have pent up thoughts because I haven't been in VeVe spaces in forever. I used to actually communicate in there probably like once a week. I would go on stage and talk with people. I haven't talked in spaces in it's probably like at least 6 to 8 months. It's been forever. I used to actually talk with people all the time, and I used to be one of the voices up there, but I haven't in forever. So it's not very often I get to actually like voice my thoughts out loud. And there's only so much I can type on Discord before people just ignore me. So
yeah,
it's tough to deliver a message that's when you have to unpack so many details, right? To explain yourself thoroughly. So it's great that you at least have this opportunity, this platform, that we have this platform to be able to get these ideas out there.
Yeah. I mean, I have tons of ideas. Do you want to go into like VeVe improvement ideas as far as like the app goes, or just things on Twitter they can do? Because I wrote down some ideas that I think they could do improve the game.
We can do, I think with enough of the community, let's do one example of something they can improve in the app. And then I have one or two more questions for you regarding VeVe Collectibles and Omi. So let's start with one in-app improvement that you would like to see.
So the thing I'd like to see the most is a community tab on the app. I'd like to see a community tab where they highlight certain things. So the YouTuber of the week, let's say your video got the most engagements or had some of the best content, had some of the best ideas, whatever it is. I'd like to see YouTubers get recognition in the actual app of VeVe. So if you have a community tab and then you're highlighting certain YouTubers for their content of the week, video of the week, YouTubers, put them, like a separate page. Because we have like a brands page, market page. I think they should have a community tab. We can click on the community tab and then featured YouTube interviews could be on there. So highlight your YouTubers, give them recognition right there on the VeVe app, and people will find themselves. Like you'll see influencers emerge real fast. More people are going to want to become YouTubers and just get recognition on the VeVe app because it's, it'd be a big deal having a company shout you out. Put showroom picks of the week and put that right there on the page, like on the community page, because people are constantly posting stuff on the feed. And I see on the feed so many high quality pictures that just get completely lost in the shuffle because the feed goes really fast. And people are always just posting messages. They're trying to negotiate with people on the feed. And a lot of these good showroom picks just get completely lost and never seen again. So someone from the team should maybe monitor more often, or maybe some of these picks should get sent in to a certain email. And just have showroom picks of the week also be put on the community page. Like shout out your users more, give them more recognition. Also, and then same thing for AR picks of the week. So we see Claire. Everyone knows who Claire is. She's constantly posting these really nice pictures from whales at the beach, and she's posting her Harley Quinns, or she's posting Disney pictures at the beach. So like just put your good AR picks of the week, whoever makes them. Just also put that on the page. Shout out people for that, and then put updated leaderboard standings for MCP. Put that on the community page, and that'll really get people going. When people actually see a leaderboard updated every week, and Dr. Profit will be at number one basically forever. But the top 10, we're going to see it constantly interchange, and I'm sure you'll see people constantly trying to fight for the leaderboard. So let's say they put the top 100 on the community page. You're going to see movement, and you're going to see people just constantly they're going to keep adding on, and they're going to try to get onto that page, and maybe someone who's in like 150 right now, maybe they're going to bust their ass and buy a bunch of stuff because they really want to get on the top 100 to make the community page. It'll create more engagement overall when you shout out your YouTubers, shout out your big personalities on Twitter, shout out the users who are putting out good pictures, shout out to MCP people who are fighting for it. I think that community page could have just so much utility by just doing it. Just put something there, and then you could also just put the update video of the month, because they do the update video of the month where they just tell us their plans and how things are going. You can just put that right on the community page also, and let people be able to have a link from YouTube and be able to just click on it right from the app. So you don't have to wait for Twitter and follow Twitter or whatever to get the update and click the link from there. Like these links should be right there in the VeVe app. Like everything that has to do with VeVe should be within VeVe in the app. So I think that community tab could have a ton of utility if they ever actually do it. Alex has hinted at like wanting to do something like that, and I know Mitch has something like that on his radar. Hopefully they watch this and write some of these ideas down. I think it'd be great.
Also, you mentioned the what is it? This happened this day a year ago.
Well, this day in history kind of example. So
yeah.
Okay, so let's say the VeVe Twitter account, because I was mentioning way earlier how I think the VeVe Twitter account is underutilized. So if they use their main Twitter account, or maybe create a separate one, they call it This Day in History, VeVe, whatever it is. But I think the main VeVe account would work. So here's some examples of what you could do. So Darth Vader dropped May 29th last year. His first movie appearance in Star Wars New Hope is July 21st, 1978. So July 21st of this year, I think would be smart for the VeVe Twitter account to put out a tweet. Hey, Darth Vader made his first appearance in Star Wars A New Hope. Show like a little video clip from Star Wars and show, Vader's first time coming on the big screen. And then re-promote your collectible to your audience. Hey, did you know we have Darth Vader on the app? And just re-promote it. Because like I was saying earlier, they put out the article, or they put out their tweet, they put out the Medium article announcing the details, and then that's it. We don't hear about the collectible ever again. So there's other ideas. So Iron Man's Mark 50 armor debuted in Avengers Infinity War featuring nanotech.
I am taking note. I love that. Can you see my notes right there?
Yeah. So
I love that.
So Avengers Infinity War released April 27th, 2018. the golden moment we have of Iron Man is uses the Iron Man Mark 50 armor. So maybe on April 27th, which is next month, they'll show like a nice little video clip from Avengers Infinity War, show the first time where he uses the nanotech when he's fighting in the street with the Hulk on his side and Doctor Strange. Show the first time he uses the nanotech and be like, hey, did you know that we have Iron Man first appearance in a golden moment on VeVe featuring the Mark 50 armor, and show off the collectible, like promote and re-promote your collectibles and just continuously do it. Back to the Future, the first time the movie came out, July 3rd, 1985. July 3rd, promote Back to the Future. Remind people we have the DeLorean. So this is what you can do, because it might just spark more interest and re-energize people as far as some of the older collectibles go. And you might hit a
Let's
nerve
go,
with...
Steven. Man, I'm having goosebumps. You're killing it.
So
I love
you
it,
might
man.
have
That's amazing.
because like, what if people from outside the VeVe community, like other NFT communities, what if they have no clue DeLorean's even on the app? And it's been on there for 2 years, but they don't know. They don't have VeVe downloaded. Maybe DeLorean strikes a nerve with them, like, oh shit, I love Back to the Future. Let me go check this out. Oh, I love Iron Man. Let me check this out. So I'd like to see people have a reason to just look at older collectibles again. So VeVe needs to do a better job, in my opinion, promoting and re-promoting your collectibles, all of them. Like every single collectible deserves recognition, and then it deserves to be recognized again and again and again. And like
100%.
something might just go viral one of these days. Who knows? What?
That's unreal. That's next level, Steel.
Yeah, I will do that. I will 100% do that. Actually, I will start tracking the drops over the past few years, 2 years, and I will actually do that for my Twitter account. Yeah, that is an amazing idea. Like March 16th, 2021 or 2022, VeVe dropped this. I bet you if we were to say like, oh, March 16, 2021, well, on this day 2 years ago, VeVe dropped the DeLorean, for example, that will bring back a lot of nostalgia for people, because that was like March 2021 was like the OG period, like the market was closed for weeks at a time. We had a drop every 2 weeks. That's gonna bring back a lot of memories, stories, and engagement, because people have a lot of crazy memories back then. That's a
and
really
people
good
like
idea.
And people like to flex too, because like even you see people flexing their VeVe birthdays. People like to just like even flex that, so they like just showing off. So people are gonna post. They're gonna post when they bought their DeLorean. Because let's say hey, DeLorean came out on this day. You're gonna have people who are OGs that are gonna be like, oh yeah, I bought that, and they're gonna probably
This is
engage
how
with
much
the
I
tweet.
paid for it retail.
Exactly.
Right?
This is much I paid for it. I bought it for retail. Maybe I bought it on the market, whatever. They're going to show off their videos of the first time you could drive the DeLoreans. Because you remember that first day, the driving was accidentally turned on for whatever reason. So you'll see people posting their old school videos of the DeLoreans driving. It's a way to just manufacture more interest and get more engagement from the community. Just promoting your old collectibles. Like you don't have to promote just the new ones. You can promote everything.
Yeah, especially like stories related to DeLorean, for example. That might bring some DeLorean fans into it, because they are knowledgeable about it. But this is more of like a fun fact for them to know, and then they start sharing it to their groups or whatever. Hey, did you know this and that happened on this date? Yeah, that is a really good point. So I know it's getting late. My last question is, let's just say tomorrow your best friend Kevin comes to you, and Kevin wants to join VeVe, and he has about $2,000 to invest in VeVe Collectibles or OMI. How would you recommend Kevin to allocate his capital? Can be collectibles, can be a mix, can be OMI. Yeah.
It's not a very easy question to answer, to be honest. And, obviously this isn't financial advice for anyone watching this. We don't give out financial advice. We're just giving out ideas. I think I'm always collectibles over OMI. I think the collectibles and the comics are like, I just think they have the way better ROI potential over OMI. But I do think it'd be smart to have OMI. Like if you're interested in VeVe and you believe the projects can go well, I think you need to have some exposure to OMI if you believe they're going to be successful. So I would say if you have $2,000, maybe put at least like 500 of it in OMI if that's what you want to do. And then the rest, top brands, I would say you probably you've probably got at least to have one Amazing Fantasy 15. That's like it's just a no-brainer. There's like it doesn't really have any controversy around it. There's really no reason to like not really believe in it. It's Amazing Fantasy 15. You can't really find these things in physical unless you're gonna just shell out a shit ton of money. And if you believe that digital comics are going to take off and become a thing, I think Amazing Fantasy 15, whether you buy common or uncommon, I think you probably want to have one of those.
So now you have like, so 500 for Omi, let's just say 200 for a common variant. Now you have
It's like 300, I think, for commons right now, at least like 330.
Okay.
So let's say that's like 800, but that's like put away for those two.
Okay.
Kind of the rest are kind of interchangeable. I got Todd, Darth Vader first appearance, Todd Batman, Superman, and then Spider-Man first appearance. It's kind of hard to go wrong with that. It's the very first NFT Marvel has. Like what I love about Spider-Man, and I'm not just pumping my bags, just in general, even if you're getting commons, whatever it is, there's no controversy around it. It's the first Marvel NFT. It's the most recognizable, most popular superhero in the world. So Spider-Man is just like, it's really easy to gravitate towards. I understand the editions are pretty high compared to like today's editions we're getting used to. So yeah, there's like 15,000 Spider-Man or something. That is a lot. Yes, you can get a rare if you want. Right now the prices are pretty comparable for all of them except for like the two animated ones. So Spider-Man's kind of like an easy choice. And the thing about buying some of these DC things is there's like small bits of controversy. Some people are wondering, are those cartridge discs on the Palm, are those the first technical DC NFTs? Some people have controversy around it. Sometimes you'll hear people make arguments around it. And I don't even believe it. I don't believe in those cartridges or anything, but I know that some people try to bring up things about that. But that's why I like some of the Marvel pieces, because there's nothing. There's absolutely no Marvel NFTs outside of VeVe. They do not exist. So that's why I really like the Marvel stuff. It's really easy to get into those. The same thing goes for Disney. So if you buy Disney Golden Moment, if you buy Steamboat Willie or Oswald's, whatever it is, all the Disney pieces have no controversy around it. So it's really easy to get into those.
Mr. V smiling.
Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, I get it. So, but those are easy pieces to get into and feel good about, because you're like, hey, I'm getting big first appearances. I'm getting pieces that everyone knows, everyone likes, have big fan bases, big fandoms, and if mass adoption hits, those are pieces they'll likely choose first, because no one's coming onto the app to buy a random Dragon Girl or a Labbit. They have no clue what that is. So
yeah. So a follow-up question, or like since you did bring up the comics and Amazing Fantasy, I'm in another group on Twitter with like special mint collectors, people who collect particular things. And someone is like, this one person is very big in real life comics, and they're super knowledgeable. And they brought up the fact that real life collectors of comics want exclusivity when it comes to variant covers of big comics. So on VeVe, they do have some exclusive covers with the more recent rare and ultra rare variants, And now that I've brought this up, do you feel more inclined to target those variant covers over just getting or stacking or overthinking about it, like when it comes to MCP and MCP points based on the rarity, just in general? Like, so for example, some people might claim that uncommons are the best bang for your buck when you're trying to get points for MCP, right? Or some people may be targeting commons because those might be the most liquid variants of comics, But with the rares and the ultra rares having those exclusive covers, do you think, and knowing that in real life collectors, they want those exclusive covers, do you think people would be more inclined to go after those if word got out about that? What do you think about that?
That's really interesting, and I like the idea, and I kind of wanted to, I'm kind of glad you asked this. So there's something I kind of was thinking about that I didn't get to bring up. So do you play daily fantasy at all? Do you play DFS, like DraftKings, FanDuel, like make lineups at all?
I kind of have like an addictive personality, so I've exercised an extreme amount of willpower to stay away from it, but I'm well aware of it. Yes.
Okay, so this is kind of like a concept I wanted to bring up, because you know how like obviously the players you choose, because the contest will lock and they end in one day, they end that night. They have ownership percentages tied to them because anyone can play them. Multiple people can play the same. So let's say you're playing, 1,000-person contest and 500 people roster LeBron James because I think he's gonna be a good play tonight. he's going to be 50% owned in that contest. You're going to see the percentage owned in that contest. If he has a good game, that's great. Your fantasy lineup's going to go up, but now you're kind of going up with, 50% of the field and all the money is up top. If you want to win first place, it's probably not the smartest idea to just have a roster full of high owned players, because how are you going to separate? How are you going to win? Like, how are you going to get to the top without some sort of low owned pieces or underutilized pieces to get you there? So that's where DFS it can be really fun, because a lot of people try to craft ways into making unique lineups and have low owned pieces to get you to the top. So when you bring up these ultra rare and rare comics, this is like a low owned play. That's kind of my concept, that no one's thinking about, or very few people are thinking about. And what's the payoff if you're right? It's the same thing. It's similar in DFS. If I play a 1% owned player who has a similar salary to LeBron, but no one's playing him, let's say Ja Morant's playing tonight and for some reason he's not on people's radar. They're not thinking about him. What if Ja puts up like 70 fantasy points while LeBron only put up 55? I get a huge leg up on the field. I'm going to pass everyone, the 500 people who played LeBron. This is similar to how I'm thinking about these ultra rare and rare comics. The fact that you're bringing up that there might be a rumbling of like some people that kind of like them. The payoff, if you're right about this and people really like these in the future, because the whole thing is you want to get comic collectors on the app, and you want to get like the big time physical collectors who like really, really like them. Because those are the people who are going to actually like pay up and stack these comics or buy like these ultra rare and rare variants. So that's interesting, because that's kind of like a low end play, underutilized play that could have a big payoff, because they're so cheap right now. No one buys these rare and ultra rare comics with the unique comic covers, but it kind of has a reason to work. They're unique. You can't buy these in physical. You don't have physical versions of these, VeVe exclusive comic covers. So if that's the case, if people really like them, I do see that as an opportunity, an underutilized opportunity to really get a position down that people aren't thinking about, and it has a payoff that could be crazy. They're still really low. They're really low edition pieces. Some of these pieces we're getting, the ultra rares are like 250 editions and less. That's way lower than most of the secret rare comics on the app. So if you're getting ultra rares that are unique, comic collectors like them, they're scarce. It has the recipe to really work. It has the recipe to just like really take off. I don't know if it's going to work, but if I do put it in position, I don't have to pay much because they're cheap. A lot of these ultra rare and rare comics, they don't go for a lot at all. They're super cheap, because most people they stack their commons for liquidity, or they buy the secret rares. They just go straight to the top and try to get the most expensive and the lowest edition count. So if you go in the middle and if you're living in that range that other people aren't, you stand the best chance to like really separate yourselves if things go your way. And sometimes that's smarter in these markets, is to take positions no one's on. Do something that has the chance to have a big payoff if you're right. So I kind of like that, because you don't have to put a lot of money down and you can get some of these comics. And in the future, who knows, maybe like 1 or 2 years, physical comic collectors like, you know what, digital is the way. We want to start getting those. And if they like those physical, or if they like those unique covers, it's something that intrigues me. So I'm kind of interested that you brought that up.
Yeah, I love the analogy. And that opened my eyes in terms of how much of an advantage that is if it were to come to fruition with in real life collectors. Say if they have all the variants of those very high demand comics, they're probably going to want to finish those up with their digital counterparts with those exclusive covers, right? So now after we finish up here, I'm probably going to make some rounds. This again, this is not my idea. This is from like a real life comic collector who's been at it for quite some time, and props to them. I'm not going to name drop, but some respect sent out their way for bringing this to my attention. I thought it was an amazing point that I really wanted to bring up with you, because I know that you are very well balanced when it comes to collectibles, comics, and perspective, especially.
Yeah, I mean, it has the recipes to be successful, and it sounded interesting. And I've been wanting to hear from physical collectors, because I saw Chad had one on a couple weeks ago. I forgot the dude's name, but he had that physical collector collector who had a bunch of those like Ultimate Fallout 4 comics, and he had like a big collection of like really nice comics. I want to hear from more of these guys. I want to hear their perspectives because they're the people who are most likely to come to VeVe and actually spend a lot. Because your average Joe, for mass adoption, I don't think average Joe is coming over to spend thousands on a comic. But physical collectors, those are the people. That's your target audience. You want to see if like they're interested. Like I want to hear from those guys.
100%.
Yeah, Steven, it's been amazing to hear from your perspective. And personally, I think my favorite section was the part when you mentioned the improvements that the team can make in terms of better communication, better in-app improvement, and also especially your stories of the events that happened in 2021 too, because it's been 2 years, but it doesn't feel like 2 years for me. And I actually got goosebumps thinking about it, even though I joined the app pretty early back in February 2021, and I saw all of that. But it's been a pretty crazy journey. If I can hear, like, if somebody reminds me of the things that happened over the past 2 years. And yeah, really, really glad to have you on today and really appreciate your perspective as well. And we hope that in the future, we can bring you back on again to chat about how your strategy has changed over time and what else VeVe can do to get us close to where they want to be.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I love your guys' podcast. All the interviews are great when you guys have a third person on because it's fun to have people tell stories, give their perspectives. Because I watch almost every content creator when they have interviews. I love the interviews when people get to give their stories and give their thoughts on what's going on. I love hearing unique thoughts. It's just unique thoughts lead to unique results. So that's kind of my thought. Always think for yourself and sometimes hear someone else's unique thoughts and it'll help. Don't always follow the crowd. Like the people all just stuck in the middle that are doing the same thing. I think that's always the last place you want to be. So really love your podcast.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, man. That is it, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you have enjoyed our interview with Stevo today. We had a great time. And if you've gotten something from this conversation, don't forget to give us a like, leave us a review, and subscribe to the podcast so that you don't miss out on the actionable and valuable insights, everything VeVe and Omi related. Thank you so much for being here. We hope to see you again next time. Peace.